Shalom and good evening. This is Jonathan Hessen for TV7 Israel News, broadcast to you from Jerusalem. Today's top stories. Iran reiterates its pledge to strike Israel, asserting it will not forgive Jerusalem for retaliating to the IRGC's launch of 181 ballistic missiles towards Israeli territory. Hezbollah Secretary General Naim Qassem proclaims his terror group's ongoing commitment to the war against Israel and the United States. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant asserts that wherever Hamas rears its head, it will face the IDF's unrelenting forces. The Islamic Republic of Iran remains adamant on attacking Israel, in response to the latter's retaliatory strikes, which significantly degraded the Islamic Republic's aerial defense array, along with its ballistic missile production infrastructure. Iranian Defense Minister Aziz Nasirzadeh, following a weekly cabinet meeting in Tehran, sought to double down on the Ayatollah regime's efforts to downplay the impact of Israel's precision strike on IRGC installations.
اینکه دشمن تلاش کرد هم سامانه پدافندی ما رو هم سامانه آفندی ما رو آسیب بزنه. خب در این راستا موفقیت چندانی نداشت. به دلیل اینکه اون بخشایی هم که تلاش کرد آسیب بزنه هم ما تمهیدات پدافند غیرعاملی دیده بودیم، همین صنایع دفاع شما ملاحظه فرمودید ما نه کشته داشتیم نه زخمی داشتیم چون تمهیدات لازم رو دیده بودیم مطلع بودیم.
It is interesting to note that in contrast to the Iranian defense minister's claims, Tehran's official position acknowledges at least 4 casualties, all among Iran's military ranks. In contradiction with the official statements made by his regime, Minister Nasirzadeh followed by backtracking on his previous claims regarding the harm inflicted to Iran's ballistic missile production, stating that some of the damage caused by the Israeli strike was repaired by the following day.
اگه چیزی هم آسیب دیده دانشش بومی حتی ما یکی از سامانه پدافندی رو همون فردای اون روز جایگزین کردیم. ادعای انهدام S-300 ما دانشش بومیه بنابراین هیچ مشکلی برای ما در روند تولید سامانه‌های آفندی مثل موشک هیچ خلالی ایجاد نخواهد.
While it is clear that Iran's defense minister is lying about the extent of the damage caused to Tehran's military infrastructure, he emphasized that the Islamic Republic can't forgive and must respond to Israel's retaliatory strikes.
این که به هر حال رژیم صهیونیستی حتی اگر یک تیر به بیابان ما بزنه باز هم جسارت کرده به یک کشور با هویت با فرهنگ کهن قوی این برای ما قابل گذشت نیست و به جاش حتما
Meanwhile, amid reports of Hezbollah Secretary General Naim Qassem fleeing to Iran in fear of his life, the newly appointed Iranian proxy leader addressed his followers in a televised speech, initially thanking those who appointed him and pledging to pursue the path of war and destruction.
أشكر ثقة قيادة حزب الله، قيادة الشورى الموقرة المؤتمنة من المجاهدين والناس على هذه المسيرة، أنهم اختاروني لهذا الحمل الثقيل، ولكن هذا دليل ثقة. أطلب العون من الله تعالى أن أكون خادما لهذه المسيرة، مسيرة المجاهدين والشهداء، وأن أتحمل هذا الحمل الثقيل إن شاء الله تعالى. سنستمر في تنفيذ خطة الحرب التي وضعها مع قيادة المقاومة، وسنبقى في مسار الحرب ضمن التوجهات السياسية المرسومة. طبعا نتعامل مع تطورات هذه المرحلة بحسبها.
The Hezbollah leader went on to assert that the Iran-instigated war in fact embodies the global conflict between Israel, the United States, and Europe versus the Iran-led Axis Western-designated terror groups.
اليوم في غزة وفي لبنان وفي المنطقة نواجه مشروعا كبيرا. هذه ليست حرب إسرائيلية على لبنان وغزة، هذه حرب إسرائيلية أمريكية أوروبية عالمية فيها كل الإمكانات على مستوى العالم حتى تقضي على المقاومة وتقضي على شعوبنا في المنطقة. نحن جاهزون فيما لو فرضت علينا، وسنواجهها بكل قوة وعزيمة وثبات وعزة وننتصر فيها إن شاء الله تعالى.
While the Hezbollah leader expressed extensive criticism over the lack of Arab support of Iran's belligerent moves, he alleged that Hezbollah is not fighting at Iran's command. And while the terror organization's aspirations coincide with Tehran's proclaimed foreign policy, Qasem asserted that combating Israel and the United States is a means to achieve its own objectives.
ما حد عم بيقاتل نيابة عنا. خلي يكون معروف للجميع، نحن لا نقاتل نيابة عن أحد ولا لمشروع أحد، نحن نقاتل من أجل مشروعنا. نحن مشروعنا حماية لبنان، نحن مشروعنا تحرير أرضنا، نحن مشروعنا مؤازرة إخواننا في فلسطين، نحن مشروعنا أن يكون بلدنا مستقلا، نحن مشروعنا أن نمنع أمريكا وإسرائيل أن تتحكم فينا.
Meanwhile, Hezbollah continues to launch hundreds of various projectiles towards Israel's northern communities, with a number of casualties reported, including 2 farmers who were caught unprepared while working in an agriculture field.
צהריים טובים, קיבלנו 2 פצועים כתוצאה מפציעת רסיסים מאזור הצפון, שניהם בסביבות גילאי ה-40 לחייהם. פצוע אחד קל, הפצוע השני מוגדר כפצוע קשה, עם פציעות מרובות בחלקי גוף שונים, וכרגע הוא בטיפול נמרץ, אך לא נשקפת סכנה לחייו.
Meanwhile, in Lebanon, amid ongoing activities by IDF ground forces to destroy Hezbollah terror infrastructure along the border with Israel, the Israeli Air Force has conducted extensive precision strikes against Hezbollah targets deep within Lebanon, to include the Bekaa Valley in particular. And while Washington vocally supports Jerusalem's right to target Hezbollah infrastructure, it is demanding that Israel avoid devastating Lebanon, irrespective of the fact that Hezbollah has embedded most of its military installations within civilian communities.
We support their right to go after legitimate Hezbollah targets, but in doing so, it is critical that they do so in a way that does not threaten the lives of civilians. That's especially true in densely populated areas like Baalbek. It's important that they not threaten the lives of journalists, UN peacekeepers, members of the Lebanese armed forces, and it's also critical that civilian infrastructure and significant cultural heritage sites be protected.
U.S. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller went on to highlight that the Biden administration ultimately wants to see a ceasefire in Lebanon, for which purpose White House Special Envoy Amos Hochstein and Brett McGurk traveled to Israel today for meetings with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's point man, Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer.
We do ultimately want to see a ceasefire, and we want to see a diplomatic resolution that allows civilians both in Lebanon and Israel return to their homes. 2 White House officials, Brett McGurk and Amos Hochstein, are traveling to Israel to engage on issues including a diplomatic resolution in Lebanon, as well as how we get to an end to the conflict in Gaza and other regional matters. And one of the things that they are going to discuss is how we can find a diplomatic resolution that fully implements UN Security Council Resolution 1701, something that we have not seen over the past few years.
It is interesting to note that while hoping for a resolution, the United States has decided not to call for an immediate ceasefire.
We want to get to the point where we have a ceasefire and a diplomatic resolution. We are not calling for one right now. What we are trying to do is structure such a diplomatic resolution with all of the relevant parties. That's the diplomatic work that we have been engaged in. We're not there yet, but we're working to get there. We have ongoing conversations with them about what a diplomatic resolution can look like and what it should look like. And those conversations are ongoing. I should point out, not just with the government of Israel, but also with the government of Lebanon, but I'm not going to read those out publicly.
Turning to the Gaza Strip, where Defense Minister Yoav Gallant met with IDF forces in the enclave's border town of Rafah.
איפה שחמאס מנסה להרים את הראש הוא פוגש את צה"ל. ברפיח, בח'אן יונס, בג'באליה, בכל מקום. להרים את הראש, מורידים לו את הראש. הפעולה שהייתה פה למעשה חצי שנה כבר, מתחילת חודש מאי במרחב רפיח ועד עכשיו, הביאה לזה שהלחץ שחטיבת הנחל בעיקר, ביחד עם חטיבת גבעתי ו-401, בפיקודו של אחסן, זיכרונו לברכה, שנהרג יותר צפונה, אבל הפעולה של המשולבת הזאת, הנחל, חטיבה 401, חטיבת גבעתי על מרחב רפיח, זה מה שיצר את התנאים שבקצה הביאו את סינואר לעשות טעות. לוחצים, עובדים, צופים, עושים פשיטות, עושים פעולות, מקטרים, לא יודעים את הכל באופן מדויק. אויב עושה שגיאה, מקבל מעלומה. אז התוצאה שהושגה והחיסול הזה הוא תוצאה שלכם.
Jerusalem's top defense official further stressed the importance of the IDF forces applying pressure on Hamas in the field, while the political establishments work extensively behind the scenes to reach a political solution that will allow for the return of the 101 Israeli hostages that remain in Hamas captivity. Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. I would like to encourage you to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Separately, if you are blessed by our programs, which are exclusively donation-based, please consider making a donation to TV7 Israel News. You can do so at our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. I am Jonathan Hessen, wishing you a Shabbat Shalom, and we will see you again during our next update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.